Hey Jabbers, welcome back to another episode. Today you have just Kari and I, and we want to talk about something that haunts us at times, but also we're really good at getting over, and we talk about it all the time. And that is how to bounce back when a client chooses your competitor. And basically, we kind of want to talk about what to do after a client says no. And while certainly crying is an option, it's not the only option. And we have some ideas for you, and we'll talk about some scenarios that happened to us. But really, this is just a little mini-sode for us to have a planner to planner, heart to heart, in case you're going through this during engagement season. So, Carrie, have you had these feelings before?
Never, not once. Yes. I feel like over the years, it's obviously been you have an inquiry, you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited about this. They seem ideal in so many different aspects, right? From budget to the venue to whatever they list about the wedding. You have a great call. It's like, this is in like the bank. Like they're gonna sign my contract tomorrow and send me a deposit. And then they
You literally open a
respond.
bottle of
Yeah.
champagne, like you booked yourself a nice reservation at a restaurant. Yeah,
Yeah,
been there.
exactly. Like really getting ahead of myself that money is already in my hands. And then they say they want a different direction. And it is really devastating. And I would say even after being a planner for over a decade, it's still hard to be like, man, why'd you go another direction? And sometimes I have asked for feedback in the past of like, can I ask why? Or like, was there anything that stood out, And I would say, I don't know if people are honest at all, but I would say most people, it's like a budget reason
And I
that
wonder if that's true. I wonder if that's true all
right.
the time.
Sometimes it's like, oh, somebody else that they know, a friend recommended somebody, and like maybe they felt more in alignment type of thing. Um, like last year, I actually had this great consult with this couple, and I do believe them. It was in Mexico at like a Four Seasons, and I was really excited about it.
Yes.
But I lost out because they ended up booking this planner who had been there before. She like said she had all these contacts in the area and she was like fluent in Spanish. I was like,
Damn.
I can maybe get by, but I'm not fluent in Spanish. And they were like, if we were getting married in California, we totally would have booked you hands down. We just feel like maybe this is a better fit. And it was still hard to like, I mean, they were honest, but it was still really hard to like not take it personally. Um, or be just upset about it, be, sad that I didn't get this destination wedding. That would have been a really fun one to do. Um, but yeah, I think, it's hard not to take it personally, but sometimes it's not about you. It's just they have conversations, I think, with other people, right? Like parents, sometimes a parent can't justify the cost of something. Um, or yeah, like they have a different connection. Like their best friend was like, use my planner, you can't go wrong,
Right.
right? And it's like sometimes you just can't win no matter
And
what.
we did learn that from the episode where we talked about the survey is like a lot of Gen Zers are, or maybe it wasn't even a survey, but we talked about this in a previous episode. A lot of Gen Zers are booking their vendors based off referrals. And that's
Hmm.
hard to compete with. Like if your bestie loved her planner and she's referring her and like, yeah, my planner will travel. Like, of course, because if we're that planner, if we're the one, like, we're like, hell yeah, we're being referred by the whole wedding party.
Hmm.
That's the dream. So, yeah, I get it. There's definitely like circumstances that are out of our control in that sense um, that hurt. And I, more than anything, I think we appreciate the feedback from couples. We like to know what was it, because if we're constantly being told that it's a budget situation, I do think it makes us think a little bit more about our prices. And I'm not saying it's a you need to lower your prices if people keep telling you you're too high, but there might be a disconnect between your messaging and your price point. If you're showing up as someone who the weddings look like they're more affordable than they maybe are, then there's a disconnect with what the people are perceiving you and what your cost is. So I think that's just good information to know. And I was going to say a couple episodes ago, I was so excited. I was like, I have this dream corporate client. It's a famous
Yeah.
podcast event. They said no.
Oh no. I actually was going to ask you about that, but what happened?
Well, you see. So it was supposed to be a Valentine's Day event, which would be, but they were going to do it like February 12th. And as we're recording this, it's February 3rd. So TikTok, and I sent them the proposal December 29th because they wanted it by the end of the year. And I was like, I'm going to get this out. And I did, Kari, I literally did a whole budget projection for them because I was like, they need to know how much this total event is going to cost. And it came back at about, I think it was 18,000 was my rough estimate for it, which I mean, that's a big cost for a small Valentine's Day event, but it's also a big event. It was going to be like 100 plus people.
Oh, dang.
And so anyway, they got the proposal I sent them. I did this like really pretty Canva mood board, and like I even did some cool AI photo situations, and I was pumped. And they received it. They're like, "Oh my God, this looks amazing. Thank you so much. We're going to talk to the team and get back to you." I followed up because, as you know, I was in LA in January and I wanted to meet with them in person and because this whole event was going to be in LA. And I wanted to do a walkthrough of their space because it was going to be in their offices and I just need to see the space.
Hmm.
And so, like, I emailed them before I left for LA. And then I emailed like the day before I left LA to be like, hey, I'm leaving. Do we want to see the space? And excuse me. And then they got back to me when I was back home in Nashville and they're like, hey, unfortunately, like we decided to do something else this year, but we absolutely loved this proposal. I'm like,
You
so
put in a lot
sad.
of work.
I
Props to
did.
you. But I guess that's not even like they totally pivoted the event. It wasn't that you
Well, who
lost.
knows?
Maybe that's just the line they used and they went with
Right.
someone else. Can we
Right.
find out if they actually host the party
I
in
know we
a
need
couple
to we
weeks?
need to stalk them on
Yeah.
Instagram. And yeah, what if they like took my beautiful proposal and they took credit for it and they did the whole design themselves?
That's shady
I
if
didn't put
so.
any vendor names on there though, so it would have
Okay.
been all my vendor contacts. But
Right.
no,
Right.
we're gonna hope for the best for them and we're gonna hope that they come back to us very soon.
We did. Yeah. We're gonna manifest that.
Yeah. But I was bummed. All this to say,
Yeah, of
like, it,
course.
it was a bummer because I also not only emotionally got invested in this and started dreaming up ideas, like, I actually put pen to paper and did a design board. I did a projection. And then, of course, not to, like, to even say on top of that, that the vendors I had inquired with, they were waiting on me to give them answers about the proposal. And I was like, I submitted it to them. I'm like, please, I don't know. I don't have an answer from them. And like they kept following up. And I kept being the one to say, I'll get back to you as soon as I hear. I'll get back to you as soon as I hear. And then I had to be like, and they canceled the project.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah.
Yeah,
You really put your full effort into it
I
though.
did. Good karma points.
Exactly. I think one of the things, like, going back to what you were saying before about if it's always about budget, I don't think that we need to sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to lower my prices right away. But I think your point about like, what is my messaging, my branding, how am I showing up? What of my work am I showing? Because let's be honest, not all of the weddings we do is work that we want to showcase to our clients. And not to say it was like a bad wedding, it's just sometimes it doesn't fit the clientele we want to reach, right? So I think it is kind of evaluating who is my ideal client and am I speaking to them, or I seem to be attracting these low budget clients. How can I change that instead of lowering your prices?
Yeah.
But I also think if you know you're in alignment with the people in your area, like, it's not a budget thing. It's more a messaging mishap, I guess.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, totally. Like you can easily compare your price points to someone else if you feel like you're offering similar things.
And I mean, I will say I have had some instances where I got a rejection from someone that I like thought was going to book me, but then I know who they booked. Like I know the planner that they booked. And I
Oh,
think it is hard in a smaller community where you like know a lot of other planners. And those moments were really hard for me where I'm like, dang it. Like, what was it? And like, those are still, I don't know the
Yeah.
answer, but like maybe it was a personality fit for them, even beyond budget. Um, and one of them that did say no to me and booked another planner. And then after I saw her post about the wedding, I was like, oh, that was a perfect fit for her. Just like her style. And not to say that I couldn't have done it, but it was just like very in her element. And I was like, okay, like I'm glad they like found the person that was like perfect for them. But it definitely stings when you like know the planner who won the client.
Yeah, that's true. And I was going to say, like, I think about this all the time, and I try to remind myself that if it's it's a no on this one, it's leaving room for a much better yes. Like
Mhm.
sometimes we think we lost our ideal client, but in fact, the next opportunity that comes up after that is either bigger budget or better scope of work or better location or, and I think that's always reassuring. And I tell myself that to almost just cheer myself up when I lose a client that I was really excited about is like, okay, it's a no for this one, but it's going to be a much better yes that's coming up after this.
And I think even if it's not that particular date gets booked, even if you book out like a bigger client, I think it's leaving room for you to have the space to like design and like give your full attention to that client, right? Because if you had three other weddings on your plate that they had said yes to you, you might be so overwhelmed. So I think even looking at it from that perspective of like, my plate is a little more open to
Mhm.
be able to give full attention to these other clients.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to say on this too is, going back to there are some things we can control. We get a no, and we can definitely redirect that energy and control a few things. Okay, so one, let's say you get a no, you're bummed, you have a pity party with yourself, fine. Then you're moving on. You can follow up with some other warm leads. I think there's a lot of missed opportunity in this whole ghosting era. Like, are you actually following up with people? And we talked about my sequence that I took from Ashley from the abundance group, where my last email is like, are you okay? Like, there are ways that you can go out there and get some responses and not just say, hey, they're following up. Like, there are ways to get people's attention. So, if you are someone that's like down in the dumps, but you're like, I need to take action and I need to take back control of these like leads telling me no, like listen up. So, following up with your warm leads. The other thing too is I think some better sales strategies. And I'm having these conversations with a few of my mastermind friends right now, actually, because I have felt that I'm losing my touch a little bit on sales calls. And I will say this,
Mm,
Carrie, what I have changed for a while, I was doing like actual phone call sales and I just could not connect with the people. And
mm,
I went back to doing Zoom calls
mhm.
and I'm like, I'm having a much higher success rate in bookings. Have you like ever tested those two?
Yeah, I like in the last year, I had changed that. So like all of my consultation calls when you're signing up is a video call. And so I also agree. I think it helps me to like connect and feel the body language and like get to know someone better. Because if I think about it, back in the day, I used to meet up with people all the
Yes,
time. Like,
in
we
person.
never had a phone call, right? We would like meet at a coffee shop or like a dinner place at like, I mean, I would meet people sometimes at 7:30 at night because
I
they're like,
know.
I'm off work, let's meet. And that's how I would sell a lot of my stuff, which is like crazy to think about. But I think no one is doing that anymore, right? And so I think that's where a Zoom call is like most beneficial to really like get to know each other. Because I think when you can like actually see the person and not be like, what do you look like, Um, and like read body language, I think it's such a
Yeah,
different
that's the big thing.
feeling.
Yeah. I was also thinking about like Maria Bayer's selling strategy. We talk about this on other episodes too about the emotional side. Like if you are getting a lot of no's, it is possible that you are just selling based off of the list of things that you provide, like timeline creation, layouts, all this kind of stuff that we all do the same.
Hmm.
And where people are successful in getting a yes for the booking is oftentimes are they connecting with the emotional need of that client. So like if that client keeps saying how they just don't want their mom to lift a finger on the wedding day and because she's a high stress person or whatever the case may be, you better say those words in your email proposal back to them and saying like here's how I plan to go to make sure that your mother does not lift a finger. Like
Mhm.
that emotional selling is what people are looking for. So they're looking for very curated packages that are going to meet their emotional needs. I mean, at least that's the experience I've seen lately.
Yeah, I've always thought about that point that she makes because in her sales course she talks about how she hired the planner because they asked her about it was something for that was very emotional to her. I think it was like a song that she was
Yes,
walking
her
down the aisle to or
ceremony.
something. It was yeah, something about the ceremony. So that's a question that I had always put in my sales calls of like what's most important to you? Like obviously outside of getting married to your partner, like are there things that are like you have always dreamed about, they're non-negotiable, it's something that you haven't really said to anybody. And I do feel like that is really helpful because then it's you're hearing that and then you're kind of repeating it to them
Yeah.
on how you're going to solve that problem for them or make that happen, right? Um it also reminded me how she has suggested that if you know like a little bit of their design or color palette to wear clothing
I
that
forgot
is
about
like
that.
in that color palette and then it's like a kind of a subconscious thing, right? Where they're like, "Ooh, I love that color that she has on." And I always have thought about that. Like if you know what it is, like dress in that to like kind of get their subconscious being like, "Oh, she's in my wedding colors. I love that." And it's like something they'll remember about you.
Oh my God. I need to like order a Newly box for every client call
Just
that
have a
I take.
gamut of shirts
Yeah.
that are like in all the colors.
Hmm. I love that. I totally forgot about that.
I
Yeah,
know,
we
it's
need
something I've always thought about.
side note, we need to link Maria's course in the show notes because I want to say she was doing maybe a promotion or something recently that she's been talking about her irresistible sellings class. And both Carrie and I have taken this on separate occasions, and we
Mhm.
still like to this day we still reference it. So I think it's like a good solid course that is both an audio course that you listen to, but then you also participate on Zoom calls in like accountability calls and stuff like that. So it has a really good amount of accountability is the best way to put it.
Yeah, because I've even thought about there's one this week coming
Yeah.
up, and I was like, I should just join it just to, it's a great way to like connect with other people in the industry and just hear like what's going on, what people are struggling with or having success with too. Uh, so it's a good community. But I think one of the things that Gabby we should talk about is just like, okay, you get the no, right? You get we're moving on to someone else. I think it's okay to feel those feelings, but don't let it spiral. But also sending a response that's kind, professional, and kind of leaving it open. Like,
Hmm.
if anything were to change, please feel free to email me. Would love to chat with you. And I think leaving it to like kind of putting the ball in their court of like, I'm still here if anything changes. Cause sometimes it does. Like maybe the other planner falls through or whatever profession you're in within the industry. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, we booked this photographer, but then they ghosted us and it didn't work out or whatever. And so sometimes people will come back to you. And that's happened a lot where they're like, hey, we didn't mesh well with this planner. We want to come back
Yeah.
and book you for your services.
And then are you like, booyah, bitches, I knew you'd be back?
Now my
Told
prices
you.
have gone up.
Yes, seriously. Pain in the ass tax.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think it's a good like leaving it open and then like you said, moving on and trying to find alignment with other inquiries. How's your messaging? Are you attracting like was that actually an ideal client or were you just really like desperate to get a sale type of thing?
Yes, the answer is yes to both of them.
we're we're all desperate for a sale right now.
No, actually, I will say I've had a few leads come in and decide to book, so it has picked up since the holidays, which was quiet, very
Yeah,
very quiet
for
time.
sure.
But no, that's a good reminder. It's not all doom gloom. there's still a lot you can control, and there's a lot that you can also just release and let go and move on to the next.
Because I think one of the things I always keep in mind is like if I've been booking clients at my price points and I lose out on like one or two or three, I'm like, okay, stay sane. I don't need to like totally revamp my pricing because I know it works. I know I've sold clients who haven't batted an eye at that pricing. And those are the ones where you're like, dang it, I should have charged
I
more,
know.
right? And so it's like keeping that in mind of like, I have done this before. It's proven I can book clients at this. And I think it's really holding on to that like abundance mindset and instead of spiraling, right? Because we talk a lot about if you're kind of in this negative spiral all the time, it is hard to get inquiries or like show up to a sales call not feeling desperate or that
Yeah,
coming across, even if you
that's
think
true.
it's not.
That's true. People get vibes,
Hmm.
they can vibe if you're desperate. No, this was good. I'm glad we talked about this because this is stuff that you and I talk about offline all the time. And I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of other people are going through this. So keep your chin up, Buttercup, and let us know how bookings are going for you, or if there's anything you've done to like follow up on ghosted leads, or give yourself a little pep talk. Do you reward yourself with a cheer me up treat when you get a no? How do you move on? We want to know.
I like that. Yeah. What do you do to cope? Perfect. Well, Jabbers, thank you so much for being here for this mini episode. Like Gabby said, feel free to DM us, message us, however, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you guys. And also, you can join us over on Substack. You can be a follower for free, or you can join with our monthly subscription. And we do release a bonus episode every month that's a little more like nitty gritty, raw behind the scenes. So come join us over there, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.